The whispers started with a photograph, a perfectly polished royal portrait that looked harmless at first glance. Smiles, elegance, protocol. But look closer, much closer, and suddenly the image feels like a quiet explosion waiting to happen. Because resting on Catherine, Princess of Wales's head wasn't just any royal jewel. It was the tiara, the one piece of glittering history that carries the emotional ghost of Diana, Princess of Wales herself. And the moment people noticed it, the palace corridors reportedly began buzzing again with a question that refuses to die. Why has Queen Camilla never worn it? And more importantly, who quietly made sure she never would? Because behind the velvet curtains of the monarchy, where every jewel has a story and every tradition hides a silent rule, rumors suggest that one woman has been guarding this crown like an invisible gatekeeper. Anne, Princess Royal, the most disciplined, most traditional, and perhaps the most quietly powerful royal of them all. The story sounds almost unbelievable, yet insiders whisper the same detail again and again. While Camilla, Queen Consort, technically has access to the royal vault, a treasure chamber overflowing with crowns, emerald kokoshniks, sapphire cascades, and diamond halos worth tens of millions, there is one glittering piece she has never touched. Not once. Not even accidentally. The Cambridge Lover's Knot Tiara. A masterpiece of diamonds and pearls so deeply tied to Diana's memory that even the idea of someone else wearing it feels like stepping onto sacred ground. And according to palace gossip, Anne has been quietly protecting that boundary for years. Yes, the British royal family posed for a new official photograph, and as usual, the world immediately noticed Catherine. But something about the sparkle above her brow changed the mood of the entire image. Because that tiara, delicate bows of diamonds holding 19 floating pearls, isn't simply jewelry. It's history frozen in glitter. Commissioned in 1913 by Queen Mary and crafted by the legendary House of Gerard, the piece was designed as a romantic echo of an earlier tiara owned by Princess Augusta, Duchess of Cambridge. 19 arches, 19 dangling pearls, over 200 carats of diamonds capturing light from every angle. But what truly gives the piece its power isn't its price tag, roughly $2.7 million, or its craftsmanship. It's the emotional gravity attached to it. Because when Diana wore this tiara in the 1980s, she didn't simply wear it, she transformed it into a symbol. Photographs of her in Hong Kong, Saudi Arabia, and state banquets across Europe turned the lover's knot into something almost mythical. Yet behind the glamour was a strange truth Diana herself joked about. The tiara was heavy, painfully heavy. She once admitted it gave her headaches. But even with the discomfort, she wore it repeatedly, almost defiantly, as if she understood its theatrical power. The pearls swayed with every movement of her head, catching flashes of light that cameras loved, and soon the image became inseparable from her identity. The people's princess, the tragic princess, the unforgettable princess. Then came 1997, the year the world changed. Diana's death sent shockwaves through Britain and beyond, and quietly, almost ceremonially, the lover's knot disappeared, locked away in the royal vaults, untouched for nearly 2 decades. It was as if the monarchy itself wasn't ready to see anyone else wearing something so emotionally loaded. Because imagine the optics. Imagine another royal stepping into that spotlight while the public was still grieving. It would have felt wrong. So the tiara slept in darkness, waiting. Years passed. New generations of royals stepped forward, and eventually one woman emerged who seemed capable of carrying the weight of that legacy without collapsing under it. Catherine. When she first appeared wearing the lover's knot in 2015 at a diplomatic reception in Buckingham Palace, the reaction was immediate and explosive. Headlines flashed across the world within minutes. Comparisons to Diana were unavoidable, but Catherine handled the moment differently. No dramatic gestures, no attempt to recreate Diana's iconic poses. Instead, she wore it with calm composure, hair swept elegantly back, pearls framing her face with almost surgical precision. It was respectful, deliberate, and most importantly, it signaled something subtle but enormous, a symbolic passing of the torch. But here's where the story twists into something far more intriguing, because during all those years while Catherine embraced the tiara, Queen Camilla never did. And that silence sparked speculation. Was it palace etiquette, public sensitivity, or something more strategic? According to royal insiders, Anne's influence cannot be underestimated. Known as the monarchy's most pragmatic guardian of tradition, Anne has always been fiercely protective of both her mother's legacy and Diana's place in royal memory. She doesn't control the vault. That power ultimately belongs to the monarch, but within the family, her opinion carries enormous weight. A quiet veto, a raised eyebrow. Sometimes that's all it takes in royal politics. And so the lover's knot quietly became associated with only one modern royal woman, Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Meanwhile, Camilla has built her own tiara identity entirely separate from Diana's legacy. Instead of reaching for the lover's knot, she gravitates toward jewels like the Belgian sapphire tiara or the Greville royal emerald kokoshnik, bold, dramatic pieces that project authority without touching sensitive historical territory. It's a careful dance. Because Camilla understands something many outsiders forget, symbolism in the monarchy is everything. Wear the wrong jewel, and suddenly decades-old wounds reopen in headlines around the world. So instead of competing with Diana's memory, Camilla sidesteps it entirely. A strategic silence. And while that delicate balance continues behind palace walls, Catherine has turned the lover's knot into her own kind of modern emblem. By 2025, the tiara had become her signature for moments of significance. When she appeared at the French state banquet after recovering from cancer treatment, wearing a crimson gown with the pearls dancing beneath chandeliers, the moment felt almost cinematic. The image spread across the internet in seconds, a symbol of resilience, strength, continuity. World leaders noticed too. Compliments poured in, cameras flashed endlessly, and once again the lover's knot proved its strange power, not just as jewelry, but as storytelling. Because every time Catherine wears it, the tiara carries whispers of the past with it. Queen Mary's nostalgia, Diana's glamour, Elizabeth's restraint, and now Catherine's quiet renewal. Yet even as the sparkle dazzles audiences, the mystery lingers in the shadows of palace tradition. Why exactly has Camilla never worn it? Is it simply personal choice or a silent royal agreement everyone understands but never openly admits? The truth may never be spoken out loud, but in the British monarchy, silence itself often tells the loudest story. But the deeper you look into the glittering world of royal jewels, the more the story stops feeling like a simple fashion choice and begins to resemble something far more strategic, almost like a quiet chess game played with diamonds instead of pieces. Because the lover's knot tiara doesn't just represent beauty, it represents memory, loyalty, and something even more delicate inside the royal family, the management of public emotion. And if there is one royal who understands emotional optics better than almost anyone, it is Catherine. By the time the world reached 2025, the Princess of Wales had already turned the lover's knot into a carefully timed symbol rather than a routine accessory. She didn't flood the public with it. She didn't wear it every season. She chose her moments like a seasoned diplomat, choosing words in a fragile negotiation. Only 13 documented appearances by late 2025. 13. That number alone tells a story. Every appearance aligned with a moment that mattered. Every sparkle seemed intentional. Every pearl felt like a message. The most dramatic moment came after what many believed would become the most difficult chapter of her life. Early 2024 brought the shocking news of Catherine's cancer diagnosis, sending waves of concern across Britain and far beyond it. The princess disappeared from public view for months while undergoing treatment, and speculation filled the silence. Would she return to royal duties with the same strength? Would she retreat into privacy? Would the pressure of being Diana's successor finally overwhelm her? Then July 8, 2025 arrived, and the answer appeared under the chandeliers of Windsor Castle. Catherine stepped into the French state banquet wearing a deep crimson gown with a flowing cape that seemed almost cinematic in its drama. And above her brow, the lover's knot returned. It had been nearly 2 years since anyone had seen it in public. The pearls swayed gently as she moved through the room greeting diplomats and world leaders. Cameras exploded in flashes. The internet erupted within minutes. To royal watchers, the message felt unmistakable. The princess had returned, and the symbol of continuity had returned with her. French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte reportedly praised her elegance during the evening, with Brigitte remarking that Catherine wore history with extraordinary natural grace. Social media platforms filled with trending hashtags celebrating the moment, and fashion analysts quickly declared the appearance one of the most powerful royal fashion statements of the decade. Only 2 months later, another scene unfolded that seemed almost designed to reinforce the symbolism. On September 17, during the state banquet honoring U.S. President Donald Trump, Catherine appeared once again wearing the lover's knot. This time, the tiara glowed against a golden lace gown, creating an image that radiated warmth and diplomatic elegance. Trump himself publicly complimented her appearance, describing her as radiant, healthy, and beautiful, while First Lady Melania Trump reportedly admired the historical beauty of the piece. The moment felt carefully calibrated. The tiara had become more than a family heirloom. It had become a form of soft power. Every appearance projected continuity between the past and the present, between Diana's legacy and Catherine's modern role in shaping the monarchy's future. Yet the quiet brilliance of Catherine's strategy lies in the fact that she never allows the tiara to dominate her identity. Unlike the media frenzy surrounding Diana in the 1980s and 1990s, Catherine balances symbolism with substance. Her public work extends far beyond the sparkle of jewels. Her initiatives surrounding early childhood development, mental health awareness, and environmental protection through the Earthshot Prize reveal a carefully constructed modern royal agenda. She carries forward Diana's compassion for vulnerable communities, visiting children's hospices, and advocating for emotional well-being, but she does so with a structured, research-based approach that reflects the the priorities of a modern monarchy. This combination of empathy and strategy has earned her international recognition. In 2024, she received the Health Catalyst Award for openly discussing her cancer journey, sparking global conversations about health transparency. By 2025, she and Prince William appeared on the Time 100 philanthropy list for modernizing royal charity and redefining what public service can look like in the 21st century. Meanwhile, the other women of the royal family have quietly developed their own jewel identities, creating a fascinating mosaic of symbolism that prevents rivalry while reinforcing unity. Princess Anne remains the embodiment of duty and practicality. Unlike Catherine's carefully curated tiara moments, Anne approaches royal jewels with the same straightforward attitude she brings to her relentless schedule of more than 500 engagements a year. Her favorite piece, the diamond festoon tiara, was a wedding gift in 1973 and has appeared repeatedly over the decades. She wore it again during her 75th birthday portraits in August 2025, pairing it with a simple sapphire ensemble that reflected her no-nonsense personality. Another favorite, the aquamarine pine flower tiara, originally given by the Queen Mother in 1957, demonstrates Anne's practical ingenuity. In the 1990s, she had several detachable elements redesigned into brooches and earrings, transforming the heirloom into a flexible collection of wearable pieces. It's a detail that perfectly reflects her personality, efficient, resourceful, and focused on work rather than spectacle. Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, offers yet another fascinating contrast. Since marrying Prince Edward in 1999, she has gradually built a tiara wardrobe that blends inherited history with personal expression. Her Anthemian tiara, a wedding gift from Queen Elizabeth II, features delicate honeysuckle motifs formed from diamonds and pearls. In 2019, it was subtly remodeled to improve its versatility, allowing elements to detach as brooches. Sophie debuted it at the American State Banquet and has worn it sparingly since then, usually at diplomatic receptions. She also possesses the Wessex aquamarine tiara, a privately acquired piece centered around a large aquamarine stone framed by diamond scrollwork. During the French State Banquet in July 2025, she wore it with a pale lavender gown that quietly impressed fashion observers for its understated sophistication. Even more intriguing was her appearance at the Japanese State Banquet in 2024, wearing the rarely seen lotus flower tiara, demonstrating her growing confidence in exploring overlooked jewels from the royal collection. And then there is Camilla, whose tiara story might be the most delicate of them all. When she first became queen consort, her choices leaned heavily toward pieces that carried no emotional baggage. The Greville tiara, with its bold honeycomb pattern of diamonds, became one of her most recognizable pieces for major ceremonies like the state opening of Parliament. But by 2025, she began expanding her selections more boldly. At the diplomatic reception that November, she debuted the Greville Emerald Kokoschnick tiara, an extraordinary band of emeralds and diamonds valued at over $13 million. Earlier that year, she wore the Belgian sapphire tiara at both the French and U.S. state banquets, projecting calm authority through its deep cobalt sparkle. Later, she appeared in the Burmese ruby tiara, a dramatic piece once favored by Queen Elizabeth II. Each selection seemed to communicate something carefully balanced: respect for the monarchy's past while building a personal identity separate from Diana's shadow. And that brings the story back to the lover's knot. The unwritten rule surrounding it remains one of the monarchy's most fascinating examples of emotional intelligence. Officially, the tiara belongs to the reigning monarch, currently King Charles III, who ultimately decides which royal may borrow which jewel. No princess or queen technically has the authority to permanently claim or deny access to a piece from the royal vault. That means the idea of Princess Anne refusing Camilla access is more palace legend than legal reality. Yet, legends often grow from subtle truths. Within the royal family, tradition and influence carry enormous weight. Certain jewels become symbolically linked to particular roles, and once the public begins associating a piece with a specific figure, crossing that boundary becomes risky. The lover's knot belongs emotionally to Diana, and through careful stewardship, it has become Catherine's signature as Princess of Wales. That delicate understanding prevents rivalry where the public might otherwise expect it. Camilla strengthens her own identity through emeralds and sapphires. Anne repeats practical classics. Sophie experiments with adaptable designs. Catherine carries the pearl-laden symbol of Diana's legacy forward into a new era. Each woman shines in her own way, maintaining harmony inside a family constantly observed by millions. And as the monarchy moves toward the future, the lover's knot continues to glitter with possibility. When Catherine eventually becomes queen, she will gain access to even grander pieces like the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, the beloved crown worn by Queen Elizabeth II for decades. At that moment, the lover's knot may pass forward once again, perhaps to a future Princess of Wales such as the wife of Prince George, or even one day to Princess Charlotte when she enters royal life as a married woman. The tiara will continue its journey across generations, gathering new layers of meaning with each wearer. Because in the end, that is the the true power of royal jewels. They are never just diamonds and pearls. They are living symbols of memory, politics, love, loss, and survival. The Lover's Knot has already carried the story of Queen Mary's nostalgia, Diana's tragic glamour, Elizabeth's quiet restraint, and Catherine's resilient modern grace. And somewhere inside the silent corridors of Buckingham Palace, as cameras flash and whispers travel through gilded halls, the tiara continues to sparkle with a question that keeps royal watchers endlessly fascinated. Not who owns it, but who understands its meaning well enough to wear it next.